for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. Advertising, psychology, and the math behind brands that win. None other than Dr. Mark Young.
Well, hi, Daniel. Great to be here with you.
Welcome, Dr. Mark, on Book 101 Review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I missed?
Sure, happy to. So I'm Dr. Mark Young. I am a doctor of psychology and neuroscience, but I operate in the world of advertising and marketing, and specifically in the category of consumer packaged goods, things you buy on Amazon or in Walmart or Walgreens or Costco and places like that.
And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Dr. Mark. Thank you. And today let's talk about why most brands fail in retail and physics behind the ones that survive. So tell us, you spent over the decades at Jekyll and Hyde working with the challenger brands, and you've seen thousands of products fly for shelf space. In your experience, what is the single most common cause of the dead brands that look like they should succeed but quietly disappear?
Well, there's a few things, Daniel. So there's not one cause that kills everybody. The first thing we have to look at, and a lot of this is covered in my new book, which is the 27 Unbreakable Rules of Retail. One of the things we have to look at is to be a mass product. So to be in a Walmart, a Costco, a Target, you have to have a product that has big appeal, mass appeal. So if the product is too much of a niche, then it doesn't work in those environments. But the next thing that happens is people don't understand the algorithms of brick and mortar. When we look at stores like Walmart and Target, these are massive companies and they operate on an algorithm. They have a system. And unless you understand that system and unless you work within it, the system will eat you up because they don't need you. So I'm going to give you an example. A Walmart superstore has 148,000 different SKUs, different items in it for sale. So Walmart can live without any one of them. The next thing that people do, Daniel, that's a big problem is they think that getting on the shelf is the goal. It's not. That's just the first step. Once you get on the shelf, you need to make sure that the product gets off the shelf. So a lot of people get this idea that, well, if I can just get on Walmart's shelf, that's all I need because Walmart has so many customers, people will see my product and they'll buy it. No, they don't. That's not how it works. There's 148,000 items in that store, and no one is going around reading the labels on all of them. So if you just get yourself on the shelf next to 40 other items in your category, you're going to fail because no one knows who you are. And they're just going to ignore you and they're going to buy the one they recognize. So that's some of the big problems and all the small problems along the way. Wrong pricing strategy, wrong go-to-market strategy, wrong marketing strategy. All of these little things break. So what we always tell people, Daniel, is when you start your company, whether you're doing Amazon, Walmart, whatever the case is, start your company, you're basically working with a slot machine. We look at a slot machine and we put $1 in the slot machine and there's 12 wheels on it. And we're hoping those wheels all come up as sevens. And if all 12 of them come up at 7, we win. And if 6 of them come up at 7s, maybe we win a little bit. What we really have to do as marketers is we have to learn how to turn that slot machine into a vending machine. Because vending machines are predictable. I put $1 in the vending machine and I press D3 and I get that bag of chips that is sitting there. I put the money in, I know exactly what comes out. That's what you have to turn your company into. You start as a slot machine. You need to focus on turning it into a vending machine.
A slot machine indeed. So, Dr. Mark, you've said the most brands fail because they treat retail like extension of e-commerce rather than completely different universe. Walk us through that fatal misunderstanding and what's the gap between the works online and what survive on shelves.
Well, first off, let's keep in mind that let's say you have a product on Amazon. Well, keep in mind, Amazon is what we would call a long tail world. So, Amazon always has room for a new product. Why? Because they just have to put another page up. In retail, every inch of that store has been planned out. So, for you to go on the shelf, someone else has to be kicked out. Now, in Amazon, you might have a very specific niche product. You've got something that only a small amount of people buy, but that's okay because on Amazon you can sell everything. In Walmart, you need to have products that appeal to a big mass amount of people. But here's the key: 80% of all consumer packaged goods are sold from a brick and mortar store in the US. So people think of Amazon as so huge and Shopify sites are so huge. They are, and they amount to 20% of consumer packaged goods. In the clothing world, it's 90% retail. Food, 90% retail. Supplements and vitamins, more like 60% retail. But on average, it's an 80-20 world. So if you have a successful Amazon business, congratulations, that's great. But you're only playing in a small pond. You're playing in the 20% pond, not the 80% pond.
Interesting. Master or Dr. Mark, you've seen countless brands pour endless time and money into perfecting the logo, thinking that's the brand. If it's not the logo that fails them, what invisible forces is actually pulling them under?
Well, sometimes there's a few things that will pull them under. Sometimes it's bad strategy, bad product, bad marketing. Sometimes it's the entrepreneur that pulls them under. Because, first off, are you really an entrepreneur? And are you built for entrepreneurship? Entrepreneurs have made up 4% of the population for the past 300 years. They were 4% of the population 300 years ago. They're still 4% of the population today. And these are people who are bold, excited, and people who are willing to take big risks and work without a safety net. If you're not that person, you're going to have a tendency to panic and not see something through. So you need to make sure that you're ready for this kind of up and down trail or trip that entrepreneurship is going to take you on. Next, you need to be honest with yourself. You need to be honest about your product. If you don't look at your product like the world looks at it and you're just in love with it and you just think it's the greatest thing in the world, then you're gonna have a lot of blind spots. You're not going to see all kinds of challenges that need to be resolved because you're too in love with it.
Definitely. So you talk about SKU rationalization and how its retailers streamline offerings during economic downturns for a brand that gets that dreaded call that they are being dislisted. What really happened and could they have seen it coming?
Absolutely. So let's start with SKU rationalization. So this is a program using AI that all your big retailers use today. And here's the goal: the goal is big stores like Walgreens and Walmart and Target are really real estate businesses. and they're in the business of renting real estate by the square inch. So they look for, how do we make the most money per square inch? Forget square footage. We're focused on square inches. How do they make the most money per square inch? So they do something called SKU rationalization. And how this is how it works. Let's say I have a set and it has 40 items in it. We'll call it the topical pain category. So pain creams. And let's say I have 40 products. I'm going to use an AI engine and I'm going to figure out what would happen to my assortment if I dropped any one of those brands. So if I went from 40 down to 39, would the customers for the 40, number 40 that I cut, would they get up and leave my store and go to a competitor? Or would they just buy something else on my shelf? If the system shows me they would just buy something else I have, I'm going to cut that product. Why? Because I just opened up a slot for some other product and I just saved myself from the cost of having another vendor relationship. So if you make a product that is replaceable, that is me too, that is not well known, even if you get on the shelf, there's a good chance that you'll get cut because rationalization will show people could go someplace else. Now, the other thing happens, could people know in advance they're going to be cut? Absolutely. In retail, you can get reporting that would show you what your numbers are. And what we look at is pieces per week per store. So if I have a product at Walmart, I know Walmart wants to do about, on average, they want to do about $40 for every SKU in the store. They want to sell about $40 per week per store. So if I have a $10 item, I know that for my product to be safe, for Walmart not to put me on a list of getting cut, I need to sell 4 pieces per week per store. That doesn't sound like a lot. It is a lot. So you think about it. When you're selling 4 pieces per week per store at a Walmart store, that's 17,000 pieces a week you're selling at Walmart. Because how big that network is. It takes a lot of marketing and a lot of advertising to drive 4 pieces per week. Now, again, if I happen to be the provider of bananas, yeah, easy. Why? Because every customer at Walmart buys bananas. So if I'm a banana supplier, no, all I need to worry about is getting a contract with Walmart to sell bananas. But if I'm selling something else that isn't a commodity like that, I need a lot of promotion or I'm not going to make it. And here's the trick. Once you get into a major retailer, there's services called Nielsen and another one called IRI. And in these databases, we all get to see exactly what everyone else's sales are to the last piece per week per store. So if Walmart kicks you out, CVS and Walgreens and Target and Costco all know about it. They know you got kicked out. So not only is Walmart not bringing you back, everyone else is going to decide not to bring you in because you already failed over there. So, in other words, when you get your first retail account, you have one chance to make that first impression. If you don't come out of the box with strong numbers in year one, your company's probably done. You've killed your company.
Dr. Mark, you've said retailers don't care how much you believe in your product. They care about three things: expanding the category, trading customers up, and bringing a new money. What brands fail? Which of these three are most often neglecting?
Well, we look at it, and you've done your homework, Daniel. I'm impressed. So we
Thank
look
you.
at something that we refer to as 3 levers of retail. When we go to a retail store, And let's say I go to this retail store and I'm selling this ink pen. If they already have 50 ink pens on the shelf, and I go to them and say, I have an ink pen, and they say, what's different about it? Well, it's just like all your other ink pens. Well, how much is it? Um, I'm 5 cents per ink pen less than all the other ink pens you have. Walmart's going to say, I don't want anything to do with you. Why? Because you just told me you're going to sell ink pens for 5 cents cheaper than I currently sell them, which means me, Walmart, I'm going to now have 5 cents less margin on my pen category than I had before you. You're taking me backward. So here's what needs to happen. Walmart, I have a new ink pen out. Why should I carry you? Because I'm a special ink pen and we were used in NASA, and my ink pens can write upside down. My ink pens can do this. You can write underwater with my ink pen. Okay, that's interesting. What's the price? Well, my ink pen is $1 more than all the other ink pens you carry, but I have an ad campaign and a customer base that's going to come and buy them. Now Walmart is looking at it and saying, okay, so if this guy has a customer base that he can bring in and his pen is $1 more, I now made my category bigger because now people are trading from my $1 pen to my $2 pen, which just doubled the amount of money I'm bringing in. Now, there's another area that we look at, which is a category expander. A category expander is, I'm going to give you an example. It's this product right here that we're working on. This product is called Flex. This
Mhm.
is a breathing device that when you use it, it lowers your anxiety. Now, why is that a category expander? Because there's no such product like this in any retail store in America. So now Walmart can look at this and say, okay, I don't have a product in this category. Therefore, when my customer walks in the store, if they decide to buy a flex breather, I just got 24 more dollars from that customer than I would have had because I have this on the shelf. So now the buyer's excited. This is an expander. This is something I don't have. Now, what I have to do is I have to convince them that I have a marketing campaign that is going to drive people to look for it. Another example of a category expander would be conditioner for shampoo. So, years ago, there was no such thing as conditioner. All there was shampoo. And then a company came along called Suave, and they invented something called cream rinse, which later became conditioner. And now, when women came to the store, all of a sudden, they didn't walk out with one bottle, they walked out with two bottles. So now Target gets to sell two things to the customer instead of one thing to the customer. So, in essence, you need to A, increase the take, which means you're a premium product with features that will command more money. Two, you're a product that now adds another item to the basket that didn't used to exist. Or the third lever is you bring a new class of people to the category. So, an example of that would be, let's look at energy drinks. Energy drinks are typically bought by people between the ages of 16 and 34. But you invent a new energy drink, which is for people 55 plus. All of a sudden, if you've got a following and you've got business built up, Walmart can look at that and say, well, this is a 55 plus energy drink. None of my other energy drinks are for 55 plus. My 55 plus consumer doesn't even go to the energy drink aisle in my store. Now there's a reason to get my 55 plus client to go down that aisle because now there's something there for them, which means now I'm bringing new people to that category. So bring new people, bring more dollars, or bring more units. And if you don't do one of those three things, you're not making it.
Dr. Mark, your topic frames retail survival in terms of physics, laws that are immutable. not opinions. If retail has laws as consistent as gravity, what are the non negotiable forces that every brand must obey to stay on shelf?
Are you a product that has wide appeal? Are you a product with a premium price where the retailer can make more money? Do you have an ad campaign that drives traffic to the store to get your product? Do consumers have a great experience when they buy you so that bad publicity, bad ratings, or people don't replenish? Do you have the infrastructure and the financing to make sure that you can manufacture your products and deliver your products and get your products to the retailers in a timely fashion? These are all non negotiables. I'll give you an example, Daniel. Let's say that you're providing Walmart, and let's say that Walmart issues you a purchase order, and that purchase order will say, we want 955 pieces delivered to this warehouse, and we expect it to be delivered there next Thursday between the hours of 12 noon and 3 p.m. Okay, that's how specific it is. And let's say you don't have the delivery systems or the product and you miss that delivery. Walmart's going to write you a ticket. They're going to fine you. They're going to give you a fine because empty shelves cost money. Let's say you do that another time. They're going to give you a bigger fine. Let's say you do it 3 times. 3 times you miss delivery. Guess what? You're done, because Walmart is not going to risk having empty shelves because you can't deliver. They're not going to negotiate with you. Sorry, you're gone. We're going to put someone there who can deliver. These companies are too big for you to try to test their rules. You have to live within their ecosystem because they don't need any one product. I don't care who makes product. Procter and Gamble can make the product. Walmart can still live without it.
Dr. Mark, can you tell us about your upcoming book, The 27 Unbreakable Rules?
So here's the book, Dan. The book is called The 27 Unbreakable Rules: How to Build $100 million plus brick and mortar brand. Now, the first thing I want to tell people, if you get this book, this sounds crazy. If you get this book and you follow all 27 rules and you honestly answer the questions at the end of all 27 rules, you will have an incredibly successful retail product and retail company. You will be successful. Where did we come up with the 27 rules? The 27 rules are essentially all built on the conversations I have every day for 30 years with clients. It's the same 27 conversations that happen over and over and over. This problem, this problem, this problem, this problem, this problem. So what we did, and I'll tell you why I wrote the book. The reason I wrote the book was I didn't literally want to go out and write a book on 27 rules.
Mm.
We talk to so many new brands every day that we went out and we said, I wonder if anybody has a book that will walk people through the industry and tell them how the industry works and use our vernacular and get them acquainted with the acronyms and the language that we use. Well, here's what happened. We searched everywhere and no one ever wrote a book like this. So because no one ever wrote it, okay, I'm going to go write it. So I just went out and made the book. And we have given out many advanced copies to new brands. I just had a meeting before this interview with a new brand, and he was on a Zoom call, and his comment was, "This book changed my life. I know so much more about this business now. There were so many things I didn't know. Now I understand it." That's what we got it for. So this is the book that people put on their desk when they're in the consumer packaged goods business. You put this on your desk and you've got yellow sticky notes all over it because, oh, yes, I need help with Rule 8. How do I fix this problem? And you'll kind of find that you'll jump around. You might jump around, and I really had a problem with Rule 10, but now I'm back on Rule 7. And part of that is because that is called the theories of constraint, that the biggest weakness in your chain will always be the one to be exposed. But once you fix the biggest weakness, it will expose the next biggest weakness.
So, Dr. Mark, is it available already or soon to be published?
It is available on Amazon and lots of other places starting March 18th.
March 18, people. Yes, so it's already pre order.
Yes, I believe you can pre order it. It's March 18th. There's a second book for me that you can get, which is called Hypnotizing. Hypnotizing is my book about using neurolinguistics programming and neuroscience to create ads that have more effect on people. So, this is literally the science of making ads. 27 Rules is the science of being in brick and mortar retail.
Hmm. And how about the American Happiness?
So, American Happiness is kind of a cool book. It's a short little book. It's not very expensive. American Happiness is simply this: what are the 8 attributes that happy Americans have? Because when we look at the United States is a country that was built by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs. As an example, George Washington was the wealthiest president in the history of America until Donald Trump, because George Washington was an entrepreneur, as were most of the founding fathers. So American Happiness kind of lays out what are the 8 things that successful, happy Americans all have in common, which happen to be the 8 things that successful, happy entrepreneurs have in common.
Well, that'd be awesome. Dr. Mark, and thank you so much for sharing to the world. You talk about navigating retail politics, the complexities of political sensitives where opinions can significantly affect consumer behavior. How do you maintain brand integrity while navigating these waters without compromising your identity?
Well, first thing is, if you go out with a brand, your brand needs to stand for something. So it needs to be more than we're in business because I want to make money. That's not a good reason to the consumer. You're in business because you have a purpose. My purpose, I'm going to use this product right here. So this flex breather, what's the purpose behind this product? Purpose behind this product is to help people resolve anxiety by helping control their breathing. So their goal is to help people with anxious feelings and let them calm down, calm their nervous system, make them feel better. Every product needs to have that purpose. And now, what's your values? Well, don't be afraid of your values, because we tend to like people who are like us. And it is far more valuable to be loved by few than to be known by all. And I will give you an example. Here in the US, everybody knows the name Kmart. Kmart was a big, ubiquitous retailer, and they are out of business. Why? Because they didn't mean anything to anyone anymore. Everyone heard of them, but they didn't mean anything. Meanwhile, down the street from Kmart was a store called Target. Target was selling the exact same merchandise as Kmart. So why did people go to Target? Because Target had an ethos. Target created their brand around cheap chic, stylish ways to decorate your home and clothing and cool, kitschy kitchen items. It was the place to go find a bargain on something that's cool. Target won, Kmart's gone because Target had a meaning. So it's important that your company has a meaning. Now, we now live in a world where the world is very polarized. You have people on the left, people on the right, people in the middle. Sometimes you want to try to stay out of that arena, focus on your product. Sometimes it might make sense to lean into it. So I'll give you an example. We look at company Black Rifle Coffee. Black Rifle Coffee is a great company doing amazing numbers. What did they do? They completely leaned into the military, police, conservative politics, and they said, this is who we are. We are pro America. We are pro military. We are pro police officer. We are pro law and order. We are pro Second Amendment. We think everyone should be allowed to own guns, so on and so forth. Half the country, or a third of the country, the Democratic side of the country, I will never buy Black Rifle Coffee. But another third of the country said, these people are cool. These people are just like me. I get these people. We're the same. I'm going to go buy Black Rifle Coffee because I want to buy coffee from somebody who's just like me. And they've built a tremendous business on that. We look at Ben and Jerry's ice cream. They're the same thing on the Democrat side. So they support all kinds of liberal causes, and Democrats love Ben and Jerry. And guess what? Republicans won't eat Ben and Jerry. I don't want their ice cream because they support all kinds of crazy left things. So can you make a business out of sticking a spike in the ground? Absolutely, if you're careful with how you do it. And again, it's okay to have half of the country hate you if the other half loves you. If half of the country hates you and the other half couldn't care less, you've got a problem.
So, Dr. Mark, you've discussed how AI is reshaping the CPG landscape, and the most business leaders are unprepared. How does artificial intelligence change the physics of retail? Does it create new laws we have not even discovered yet?
AI is moving so fast, Daniel. And here in our offices, we're finding new uses for AI every week. Uh, to the point now of every person in the company has their own AI Claude bot assistant in our office. So how's it changing our industry? It's making it's lowering the cost on logistics. It's making figuring out how to anticipate shipping needs, manufacturing needs. It is allowing us to get better and better with media attribution and deciding what's working and what's not working. It's allowing us to be able to work faster on things like FDA compliance and FTC compliance and new packaging law compliance. So it's allowing us to move faster. And the retailers are using it. So the retailers are now using it to make faster decisions on, should I get rid of this product because I can replace it with another one. So as entrepreneurs, we need to understand how it's impacting our client, the retailer. For ourselves, we need to know, how can we leverage AI, and how can we stop thinking of AI as a tool, which is what Google is, and how can we think of AI as a collaborator, because your AI bots are really other employees. They are agents that are employees. And how can we leverage that? And how will AI change the way customers find products? Because now we're starting to see people that are starting to go to AI engines and saying, I have toenail fungus. What's the best product at the store to take for it? Do they find your product when they ask that question? Because remember, in Google, you could buy paid search.
Mm.
So you make a toenail fungus, buy paid search, you're the top choice. In an AI engine, how do you get the AI engine to say this is the best solution? Which you can do, but it takes work to do that. And if you don't understand it, and if you don't do the work to do it, you'll be left behind.
Beautifully articulated, Dr. Mark. So, to wrap up our discussion for today, you emphasize creating a sense of community that reflects shared values through targeted communities and events. When a brand builds that kind of community, does it create a protective force field around them to make them harder to delist?
Certainly, if so in retail, everything at the end of the day, Daniel, everything is about velocity. So it doesn't matter if you have a bunch of people that want to protest if I don't carry your product, if those people aren't buying the product. So it's all about velocity. So building a community that supports you and that loves you is one of the greatest ways to build that velocity because they're loyal. And that's what you want, loyal consumers who come back time and time again and buy your product. That's what the retailer wants. That's what you want.
So, Dr. Mark, can you please invite our listeners to support the 27 unbreakable rules?
So if you want to see 27 Unbreakable Rules, it's out March 18th. You can get it on Amazon. Also tell people we have a podcast called CPG Insiders, which is all about consumer packaged goods. And it's the number 2 podcast in that category. And it's just weekly conversations about things in the book and about things in the industry. And if people go to my website, which I think you have on there, which is meetmarkyoung.com, you are always welcome to reach out to me, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And Daniel, talking about AI, you go to my website, you'll find virtual me, where you can talk to AI Mark and ask me any kind of marketing question you want to ask, and I can answer your questions. It's that little button right down there in the bottom right-hand corner of the page. See a little orange dot down there?
Okay.
Yep, you can
This
click into right there. And there you go. Right there, you can talk to a virtual version of me 24 hours a day and ask any kind of marketing question you want to ask.
That'd be awesome, Mr. Mark. Thank you for doing that for us. So, speaking of your podcast, you interviewed everyone from Chris Voss to Bob on your podcast. What is the one question you wish someone would ask about why brands survive, and what is the answer?
What is the one question of why brands survive? They survive because the owners do the hard work and the right things day in and day out. It's not magic, it's doing the right things. There are no tricks.
No tricks at all, people. No tricks. Dr. Mark, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel. It's been wonderful to be here with you.
Likewise, Dr. Mark. More to come, people. See you soon.